Welcome to the I Hate Critics Movie Review Podcast. I'm professional film critic Sean Patrick. With me is Jeff.
Hello, everyone.
Where can they find your art?
JeffLassiter.com is my website. Jeff Lassiter Pop Cult is my Instagram. And if you're in the Quad City area, you have to wait till December to see it in person. So, because I'm done with shows for the year until then.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, support him. Support Jeff wherever he is, and buy his art. It's incredible. I have several pieces of my own, sticker wise and whatnot, right here in my home.
And I just got long leg stickers in.
Nice.
So yeah, I ordered them for the show that I did this weekend, and they came while I was at the show.
Very cool.
Woohoo!
All right, let's get into some issues. I sent you and Bob a message today because I saw just this unhinged Facebook conversation happen in front of me, and I was just kind of blown away by it. This interaction where a guy says he and two of his friends, they went to see Joker 2, and their thing they actually said was, believe it or not, it's a musical, which speaks to the point you made last week about how people didn't know. There were plenty of people who didn't know that they made a musical. But then, go ahead.
It still pisses me off that they do that with all, like, Wicked is a musical. It's a Broadway musical that they're making a movie about. Nobody knows it's a musical.
Yeah, but yeah, he liked it. This person and his two friends said that they enjoyed the songs and the performances. Eerily entertaining is what they called it. And I was impressed. You know, I'm like, okay, cool. Well, there's more people who like this movie that I also like. But then I was looking at the responses to their post, and just this absolutely unhinged reaction just kind of bounced out at me about how, from this person who has not seen the movie and will not see the movie, and no way I'm going to see a musical. And it's like, why do you feel so? And then they go into the whole, oh, well, that's why it failed, and I'm glad it's failed. And like, this speaks to a whole fandom out there, this whole Twitter person out there that just decided to hate this movie based on the fact of how does hating Joker affect your life? Like, what is it about your life that the failure of Joker matters to you? Like, I like the movie. I have no stake in whether it succeeds or fails. I make nothing from it. I liked the movie. I don't care if it made money or not made money. It's kind of notable. But beyond that, why do you care? I don't understand why this person...
movie too.
Yeah.
I did not love the movie, Bob. But I did like it. This is a thing that happens in a lot of fandoms. It's rampant in the Star Wars fandom. People who are not going to see stuff, don't see stuff, still complain and say it's bad, even though they just want to have something to bitch about. And they want to have something to, like, be edgy, and they think they're edgy, but they're not. Because it's just old, you know. Everybody says that kind of stuff online just to be provocative, I guess. I don't know.
I think not to get too into pop psychology, but I think this reveals so much about the person that replied angrily. Like, if you're angry at a movie you haven't seen and you're excited that it fails, this speaks to a mindset within you that is unhealthy. It speaks to a mindset in you that you're telling on yourself. You're telling the world who you are via this response. You've told the world that there's something broken within you that needs to be fixed, because this should not matter to you this much. This is nothing. This is a movie. A guy posted that he liked it, and you got mad. Mm-hmm. And you've not seen it. This person, I don't know if it's a man or a woman, they didn't even see the movie. They open with that. That's their opener, that they hadn't seen the movie.
It's a man.
True. It's got to be right. I mean, women don't go off like this for the most part.
No. Unless they have Twitter accounts with a blue check mark and they want to make some money, they don't say shit about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's the thing. This is Facebook. They're not engagement farming. And it's a reply to somebody else's post. So it's not like they're engagement farming. This person just has decided to define their identity today as person who hates musicals. So much so that they root for their failure. But I do now again, I'm not talking about that poster anymore. I'm done with that, but I do want to get on to the whole controversy around Joker being a musical and how people have reacted to that. I do think that, and you and I both grew up during the 80s. I'm not making up this stereotype, but Jeff, people associate musicals with gay people, do they not? And they did back in the day. Back in the day when we were growing up.
Okay, yeah.
Not today. We've got a much healthier musical scene. We've got a much healthier group of generations that have come up behind ours who've pushed that in a different direction, and we're moving away from that stereotype. But in the 80s, when we were growing up, that was an association that people made.
Yeah.
And I think the hatred of the idea of this movie being a musical is based in that somehow. Like, people from our generation and older are the ones who are driving this narrative about hating Joker and happy that it fails. And it's speaking to I think it's speaking to bigotry. I do. I know I'm extrapolating, and that's gonna make some people mad, but I think it's speaking to some sort of bigotry.
But my thing about that is I just look at how, like, Chicago, what a big deal that was.
Yeah.
Look at Les Mis, what a big deal that was. And it's just like, yes, I know it's the Joker and it's not Chicago or Company or, some Broadway-ish kind of thing.
Jeff, it's the feminizing of DC.
Oh, God. It is so not.
That's what I'm saying, though. That's the mindset that I'm speaking about.
I don't know. The fact that people don't know that Wicked is a fucking musical. It's a movie based on a Broadway musical that was based on a book that was based on a musical movie. I mean, oh God.
There is a Hollywood marketing problem. There's no doubt about it. And there were issues with the way that Joker was marketed. There is no doubt about that. But I can't help but when it comes down to the level of hatred that people are having and the joy that they're taking in this movie, underperforming, that speaks to something much deeper and much unhealthier than simply not liking musicals.
Yeah.
Because I just can't understand. I can't understand being this happy that a movie that you didn't see failed. That's bizarre. And I don't watch these YouTube videos, but they come up because I watched a lot of Joker reviews from reputable critics. And when you do that, you get also recommended reviews that are in general. And there's like, there'll be these reviews that have like 17, 18, 19, 20 views on them. And they're speaking to like Joker fails because of woke culture. Like, where the fuck did that come from? Or Joker fails, Joker fail, and it's them celebrating that it failed even though they didn't watch it. And like, why does that matter to you? It matters to them because it speaks to their inherent biases. It speaks to something in them that is telling you about who they are. If you care this much about the failure of a movie, it's like the toxic Star Wars fans. Like, there's something there too, where it's like, maybe that's just maybe misogyny. Maybe when you see a girl in Star Wars, you get angry.
That's a big part of it, Bob. I know your name.
That's I think there's also that too. Like, maybe you're not inherently a bigot, but maybe you just have a problem with women. That's another reason why you don't like musicals, because you think they're feminine. And
I mean, it could be, but these guys, it's a lot of it is engagement farming.
Sure.
And I know that I would think that the biggest part of it is like, everybody wants to go viral and everybody wants to hop on the bandwagon of hating stuff, instead of just letting people enjoy what they like.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what we're dealing with that reply to that poster. Because it's cool and edgy to hate stuff that you weren't going to see anyway. I don't understand it. I kind of at this point don't care to understand it
Yeah.
because it's so prevalent and everybody makes the same fucking YouTube videos now and puts the same graphics up for their YouTube videos that
Mm-hmm.
it's just get a life. I think Shatner said it best.
Absolutely. I also don't. Another aspect of this, too, that I want to just kind of delve into just briefly is that when somebody expresses joy in something online and you feel the need to chime in with your negative opinion, why? Just keep scrolling, man. Just keep scrolling. Somebody just enjoyed something. Let them enjoy it. Like,
Because they have empty lives. I'm not, and that's the thing is like, I nuked it. I had a troll account on Twitter just because I got so sick of these neckbeards going in and bitching about Star Wars. So I would go in and just insult their mothers. But it's just like, and there was one time I said something about some dude's mom. He's like, "Oh, it's real brave of you to say something about my mom. You don't know my mom or anything." I'm like, "You didn't watch the Star Wars show. You just came on and decided to call one of the lead characters the F slur. So I'm doing just what you're doing. It's getting a little closer to home for you."
Mm-hmm.
So it's so stupid and counterproductive, and I wish people who did it would be demonetized, but rage is the only thing that sells nowadays. So
it's that culture. It's so gross that's the thing that we cultivate. We're feeding the wrong wolf. You know what I mean? You've got two wolves inside you.
Oh God, this philosophical bullshit. It's past my bedtime.
So let's talk about Donald Trump. What do you think?
Let's talk about Sebastian Stan playing Donald Trump. Let's not talk about the orange mango Mussolini.
The Apprentice is a new movie directed and written by Ali Abbas, and starring Sebastian Stan in the role of Donald Trump. And it's what is his name? Jeremy
Strong.
Jeremy Strong. Yeah, thank you. From that TV show. He's an incredible actor, and he's playing Roy Cohn. Roy Cohn was an advisor to Donald Trump very early on in the 1970s as Donald was coming up under the leadership of his father. And Roy Cohn kind of inspired Donald Trump to be ruthless and pursue everything in a way that was not necessarily ethical. And we see that here. We see the kind of the laying of the groundwork for who Donald Trump becomes. And it's part myth and part legend and part truth and a little bit here and there. Obviously, if you're not in the room, you can't record the conversation and know for sure what was said. So some of it's going to be dramatized, and you just have to accept that. Some people will just look at that and go, "Aha, none of this matters. You can't prove any of it." And no one's trying to. One's trying to prove it. It's the essence of the thing that likely did happen, and that's the key to this movie. I love the look of this movie. I think what Ali Abbas does with the look of this film, that grainy 70s 80s aesthetic, is really cool looking. Really, that to me, the cinematography is kind of the highlight of the film for me. From Casper Tuxen, did an incredible job with the look of this movie. I don't really need a movie to tell me that Donald Trump is egotistical and unethical. That doesn't really. I got the memo on that one already. It's not surprising me with that hot take, but I think the movie is a little bit more than that. I do. I think Ali Abbasi is a very talented filmmaker. I admire it in many ways, but I also kind of I'm holding back just because I'm not sure how to fully feel. Gabriel Sherman, by the way, is the screenwriter. I gave the wrong credit before.
Gotcha. For the most part, I agree with everything you said.
Mm-hmm.
There were a couple scenes where, based on, I don't know if it was just the performances or if it was, the characterization or what. There were a couple scenes that came across a little Saturday Night Live-y
Okay.
to me while I was watching it.
Sure.
Overall, I mean, I really, really enjoyed it. I thought, Sebastian Stan did an incredible job. And having heard some of these stories before, it doesn't really surprise me that the characterization of Donald Trump is not sympathetic, but it kind of gives you a little more insight than you might normally get. And I really liked that about it. I really liked the when he's probably like 1979 era, when he's trying to build Trump Tower and he goes up against Koch, and then he goes to the news media, and that's what I remember about Donald Trump. Is him going to the news media and being all, oh, look at how perfect I am, and everybody's against me. And that was even before he was running for president. He was always, everybody's against me and all that. And I thought they did that really well. They really captured that moment.
Yeah, I think he does a good job of getting to the heart of the emptiness of Donald Trump, which is something that I've always felt about him, is that he doesn't have really a core other than not wanting to be perceived as a loser. He wants to be perceived as a winner, and that's really the defining aspect of who he is, and he really doesn't care about anything else.
Yeah.
It's weird, and I think the movie really did get to the heart of that. I also, you mentioned something about it, about not sympathetic, but like what Ali Abbasi does really well is trust the audience not to feel sympathy for these characters. He presents this to you in a way that is dramatic and would offer opportunities for you to feel something for these characters were they fictional characters. But since we know who they are, he's trusting us not to feel that sympathy. You shouldn't feel sorry for Roy Cohn, and I don't think the movie is asking you to feel sorry for you. It's merely presenting what happened to Roy Cohn. And when you live a life like his, I mean, not that I'm not going to say he deserved all the pain and torture and anguish that he went through, but you can argue on the other side that he rotted himself from the inside. Based on the decisions. Yeah, based on what he did to other people. You're not going to get me to sympathize for him, and the movie doesn't ask for that. It just presents what happened to him. If this were another person who didn't have Roy Cohn's past, I would absolutely feel sorry for them, getting sick and dying the way they did. But I know who he is, and I know what he did to other people and the pain and awfulness that he caused and is still causing via the influence he had on so many people.
Well, and I mean, you've got Roger Stone in this movie, who's as big a douchebag, asshole, piece of shit as Roy Cohn was.
Mm-hmm.
And if he had a horrible death, he's going to live forever like a cockroach. But, I wouldn't feel sorry for him either.
Yeah.
They're just bad, ugly people. And
when Trump turns on him, I'm not, there's no rooting interest. Like you might have a rooting interest if a villain, if a person turned on another villain, you might feel for them. But no, it's nothing like that. You don't feel anything like that. Rather, it's more reminding me. It's giving me that energy of that there's a song that goes around TikTok occasionally, like, I never thought the leopards would eat my face.
Yeah.
And it's these people, it's people like Roy Cohn who don't, who can't understand how doing all the things that they did has led them to a place where the people that they're supposed to be, I don't know, friends or at least allies with are now not being their ally anymore. It's like, well, you if you're laying down with leopards, eventually they're going to eat your face, man.
Yeah. Well, I never thought voting for the party of leopards eating my face would come back to bite me. Literally. I have a coworker who is a big Trump supporter and heard that I was going to see this movie and was talking about what a hit job it was, and I was like, this is pretty historically accurate if you believe the stories that have been told over the years. I mean, even contemporaneous stories about him.
Literally, some of these stories are directly from interviews that Donald Trump has done talking about Roy Cohn.
Yeah. It's not like he's ever hidden the fact that he used Roy Cohn to get where he was and then shunned him when he found out he had AIDS. So,
yeah. And
it's not a hit piece. It's just kind of I would say it's trying to be a little more nuanced because they don't want to be accused of trying to sway the election or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it goes a little more, a little deeper than you would think anything about one of the shallowest man who ever lived. I think it's if anything, it's a little more sympathetic than he really deserves.
Yeah, but that's coming from people, from the two of us who both hate him.
Yes.
And I don't know how Ali Abbasi actually feels about him, other than I think he's condemning, the horrible things that he did. I don't know I don't necessarily think you could say he hates Donald Trump, but he's certainly not voting for him.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll say I hate him because I do, but for me personally, that's from me. But only because he hates the people that I love. So,
This is true.
So fuck that guy. But no, this movie isn't bad. And especially, again, that cinematography, the look of the movie is fucking incredible.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this one.
All right, let's continue with the movies loosely based off of real life. Let's talk about Saturday Night. The new movie from Jason Reitman is all about the 90 minutes prior to the start of the very first episode of SNL and all that goes into that very first episode that may or may not have gone on the air, depending upon which legend you believe about there being a tape of a Johnny Carson episode ready to go if the network thought that this couldn't work or was going to make them look bad. Maybe that happened, maybe it didn't. But then if you're holding this movie to a standard of verisimilitude with what actually happened, I think you're probably not going to enjoy the movie. You probably shouldn't even bother watching the movie. This is about recreating the vibe of that. This is about capturing, some of the stories that are well known or less well known and compressing them into this time frame of 90 minutes before the show starts. And to do that, you have to condense information to get it into that specific space of time. And I think the movie does that very, very well. I really love Jason Reitman's direction. I liked how he kept things moving, but most of all, I really liked this kid, Gabriel LaBelle, who was the star of The Fabelmans.
Fabelmans, yeah.
I thought he was incredible playing Lorne Michaels. Is this very driven, very unique individual who is... I didn't think the movie played up him being a super genius. Some people have read this is just them. This is just him sucking Lorne's dick. And I'm like, how? He doesn't come off that great.
Yeah.
He comes off as together and driven. I think he comes off as driven and kind of tunnel vision but I don't think it makes him out to be any kind of super genius. I think it just captures the kinetic energy that was taking place in that moment at that time, and on top of that, it stays funny while doing it. There's some really good laughs in this that are very genuine and based off of the constantly moving energy and anxiety of this moment in this movie.
Yeah, I think they captured him as not as a genius, but as somebody who's driven and has a vision.
Mm-hmm.
And those people aren't always geniuses, but they always have the vision. And I think that's what I got mostly from his performance. There were times, I'm gonna be honest, there were times when it felt a little bit like a made for cable movie. But I really did enjoy the performances of everybody. And like Sebastian Stan in The Apprentice, there were times when I just kind of got lost and didn't see them as actors, saw them as the actual people they were playing, especially who played Jean Curtin?
Oh gosh, I don't have her name in front of me.
Yeah, but she was spot. I mean, I just forgot about Jane Curtin. I saw her as Jane Curtin. I mean, so
yeah, that was she was terrific. The whole cast just captures it.
Yeah, everybody was cast perfectly. God, what they did to the poor guy who played Paul Schaefer, though. Oh, that makeup was terrifying. It was worse than Art the Clown.
It was comedian Paul Rust, and he's tremendous. Yeah. He's awesome. I love that guy.
But I was just, why? Why did they have to do that to him? Because he looked frightening. But yeah, I mean, overall, I really enjoyed all the performances. I mean, I there were a few parts where it stretched its credulity a little bit, especially with the 10 minutes before they air, he's going out finding John Belushi at the skating rink, and how there's just absolutely no way you can make it from Studio 8H to the skating rink and back again in 10 minutes. It's just not. But yeah, I mean, I liked the little scenes with him and Rachel Sennett.
She's incredible in this movie.
She's just incredible, period. And then her performance in this movie where she's flirting with everybody and, trying to get everybody to just get on board with what they're trying to do and using her femininity to get Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi to do what she wants them to do.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was pretty incredible.
And another aspect that I like too is that I think it's fair to everybody. I think it's really fair to everyone, including John Belushi. I know a lot of people thought that performance might be a little bit reductive of John Belushi, but I think Belushi was complicated. He was, I think the John Belushi that we know from Legend, I think, is here, and also just the aspect that he did come back, he did show up, he did do the show, and he was incredible at it. It speaks to him. It speaks not to his immense ego. It speaks to him wanting to do this, wanting to be there, but wanting to be treated with some respect.
Yeah, he was the one who didn't feel like he was getting the respect as a comic that everybody else seemed to be getting. And at first you thought he was just being a cokehead weirdo. But then when, you saw him reacting to Dan Aykroyd going around and being, saying he was a ladies' man and the gigolo and all that. And he was just like, you could tell it was a little jealousy because he wasn't physically hot like Dan Aykroyd apparently was in the 70s. I never saw it, but what do I know?
A man who's funny and confident that can go a long way.
I mean, you would know. I'm just kidding.
But I thought even the portrayal of Chevy Chase, Corey Michael Smith, I thought was incredibly fair. You get the egotistical, Chevy Chase. You get the over the top Chevy Chase, the misogynist Chevy Chase. But then at the end, they're trying to build this brick stage for no good reason, and he's there. He's pitching in and he's helping, and he's helpful to other people in the cast. And even though him and Belushi are fighting, and there's aspects of him where he's separating himself from the rest of the cast, he also pitches in with the affiliates and jumps in there and helps out Lorne in that moment when he's failing in front of the affiliates. Like, as bad a guy as Chevy Chase probably is, he wasn't all bad, and I thought the movie was relatively fair.
I agree. I really agree. I did think that the female cast members got a little bit short shrift.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, it really was a lot about Chevy and Dan Aykroyd and getting John Belushi to where he was supposed to be. I would have liked a little more Gilda Radner.
But this might be horrible to say, but it's actually kind of relative to. It is kind of like how it actually was.
Oh, I know that, but I
the movie doesn't have to be that way. I get that. Yeah.
Yeah. In that world, I think I'd like to know a little more.
Yeah.
About them, and I know a little bit about the situation and things like that, but Gilda Radner, everybody in that cast just was, she was always their favorite, and everybody talked about how great of a comedian she was, but we didn't get to see much of that here. So I would have liked a little bit more of that.
I did like the construction workers stuff. That would see them work that out, and watching Aykroyd have to be uncomfortable in that moment was kind of fun.
That was fun.
So, if you have any more thoughts on Saturday Night?
No, not really.
I liked it. I want more people to see it, but I would like people to not spend so much time complaining about whether or not any of it actually happened. Get over that and just watch it. Watch it as a movie and as a stand-along side of history as opposed to actual history. It's not a documentary. People get very, very, very silly about stuff like that.
Oh, I know.
All right, I guess the reason people are here is Terrifier 3, Art the Clown. Back in business and doing what Art the Clown does. In the third Terrifier adventure, he's dressed up as Santa Claus. It's a Christmas movie, Jeff. It's a Terrifier Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
With a couple of Terrifier Christmas songs that are maybe the best thing in the movie, maybe, as far as I'm concerned. I don't know, man. I think the magic of Art the Clown is now lost on me. I liked Terrifier 2. This one, this felt long. This felt long to me. And this shouldn't be 2 hours long. This one, I felt every minute of this one. I felt every second of this movie. I wanted to be doing something else. Art the Clown, of course, got beheaded at the end of Terrifier 2, but his head came back to life, and now his body jumps up and goes back and joins him, along with his assistant, whoever. I guess she was like one of the people in the first movie, I believe, right?
Yeah, she was the only survivor from the first one,
and now she's like possessed by a demon or something.
Well, she is a reanimated corpse at this point, basically, that is possessed by Art, who's actually, I think we figure out in this one, a demon.
Ah, okay. Something like that. I stepped out to take a phone call for about 10 minutes and came back in to finish the movie. And I just honestly, I stood in the back of the theater and kind of checked my phone a couple of times and just wanted to catch the ending because I wasn't offended or anything. I was just kind of bored because I don't think this movie is nearly as well directed as the last one. I think that there's the integration here between two stories going on. You've got Art and his assistant, or whoever they are, Art the Clown and the woman who's with him, the reanimated corpse, doing what they do. And then this other story, you've got the family story, and they're continuously establishing the family story over and over again. We switch back and forth, and I found the family stuff to be tedious. tediousness of going over and over and over again how she sees something that other people don't. Maybe she's crazy, maybe she's not. We go over that so many times. And it's like, I understand. Can't you just cut somebody in half or something? I don't know. Just get to the point. Just get to the point. Get to why we're here.
Well, so I thought the last one was just way too long.
Yeah.
And this one, there were a couple spots for me where it dragged. I'm like, okay, let's cut it down a little bit, pun intended. But I see now that I see what they're doing, and I'm not a religious person at all,
mm-hmm.
but a couple little things, like little dropped lines and stuff about God, and there's a sign on the one blonde girl's with her in her dorm room, the podcaster girl, Meg, is that her name?
Could be
like that. I don't care. I mean, that's not what we're here for.
Right.
We are really not here for that. We are here to watch people get chopped the fuck up. There was like only the Lord can do things like that. And I started to feel like it was on purpose. And then towards the end, when you realize, when they explicitly say that Art is a demon, and when he starts speaking through the one character's reanimated corpse,
mm-hmm.
Victoria, when he starts speaking through her, and you realize that that's who it is. It's not her speaking, it's him, who's never had a voice before. That's when I was like, oh, this is good versus evil, not, just some random slasher guy. He's a demon, and there's only one person who's his match, and that's Sienna. And she is her father created this character based on who he knew she was, somewhere deep down. And so she has to vanquish Art, who is the evil, who just kills to kill. And I think that's what they've obviously set that up for the next one, because everything is left on a cliffhanger. You do get some absolutely disgustingly brilliant practical effects.
Mm-hmm.
They do not shy away from killing kids,
mm-hmm.
which most horror movies, you just can't kill the kid. And he kills at least 2 before he blows dozens of them up.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't think that was her brother's head in the jar. I think he will be back, because he is very well loved in that role.
And
by the horror community.
I think if you're going to kill him, you have to do it on screen.
Oh yeah, that was what I was watching, and when he put the glasses on that skull, I was like, no, they wouldn't have killed him off screen. He would have died a very, very violent, bloody death.
Go ahead.
I was surprised. Like I said, I was surprised that they went there, especially with the little girl, because you just know at the beginning of the movie, you just know that she's dead. And the glee that Art takes in chopping up the family at the beginning kind of sets the tone for the whole thing. Yeah, what were you going to say? Because I mean, that's literally all this movie is really about, is
I guess
horrible, disgusting kills, and I'm fine with that.
Part of the problem is I don't find Lauren Lavera, who plays Sienna, to be that charismatic. I'm not particularly compelled by her. She doesn't move the needle for me as an actress. And so in the scenes where it's her and her aunt, and they're just kind of rehashing, what's real and what's not, just like, we don't need 3 scenes of that. We don't need 2 scenes of that. Like, you can cut this up a little bit better. The one thing that I spent way too much time thinking about was Art the clown in terms of being myth and legend within his own universe. Because like, there's a weird dynamic going on here where uh, there's a guy who like dresses as Art the Clown for like a costume, and so apparently Art the Clown is myth or legend or reality enough that people dresses him like in a Halloween sense.
That was explained in the last one.
But then also the podcast girl, her partner says, well, I don't believe that the clown exists. I think it's Sienna who's killing all these people.
Yeah, I've listened to enough true crime podcasts that there's lots of those those people that, oh, I think it's not real, but they established in the last one that that he was an actual killer and he actually killed people and people witnessed him. So
I don't remember that at all. I mean, not that I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I don't remember it.
Well, at the beginning of it, they were talking, Sienna was talking about it at the beginning of the last one. She was kind of obsessed with it a little bit, and her brother, was not. He was, oh, that's really, let's not do that, blah, blah, blah. So they were, and there were other people in that costume in the last one, who are cosplaying as it, whatever. So it was established that, like people go as John Wayne Gacy and Ed Gein and, all that for Halloween. And that was what they were getting at in the last movie.
But I guess, is Art the Clown real in the universe or not?
Yeah.
He is.
Yeah.
But then there's a person on a podcast saying, I don't believe Art the Clown exists. And
well, that's because she didn't see him. She's the skeptic. There's lots of those people out there, that birds aren't real, or, Democrats control the weather. Those people exist and they're in Congress. So yeah, that I would not dwell on that one character based on the fact that he's established as an actual serial killer in this by the beginning of the second one. So
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, he's real. But he's a demon that's on Earth.
I don't know. I'm just not overall in the end. I'm just not. I'm not particularly moved anymore by this. Terrifier thing. Art the Clown. It wasn't bad, but I kind of got my thrill like the first movie with Terrifier 2. That was kind of like my Terrifier, I guess, because I just kind of I felt like I got the vibe. It was very funny, and he's very funny in that. I think I don't care if there's a narrative to what Art is doing in the end, because it's mostly just about the psycho gore, I guess, and how inventive that can be. Like the best scene in Terrifier 2 for me isn't even a gore scene. It's just one where Art the Clown goes into like a Spencer's Gifts. Where he eventually does kill somebody, yes, but the way he's toying with them is very funny and very charming. And I felt like there wasn't enough of that spirit in this. I think there's some of that spirit here, and I think that's certainly in the songs. The Art the Clown Christmas songs are good. There's elements of that here, but not nearly enough, because I do think they are trying to create. I think they're trying to do lore now, and I don't know. Maybe just this particular lore just didn't appeal to me.
Yeah, that's fair. I enjoyed this one more than the last one, I think. Overall, I did. David Howard Thornton's performance of Art is so good throughout the whole series. I mean, he's so expressive even through that heavy makeup.
Yeah.
That body language and his facial expressions are just, oh, come on, or you disgust me. You can just read it on his face. And I enjoyed him more in this movie than I did even in the last two. Because he's so expressive with his body, and just the way he kind of lets you in on the quote unquote joke of it.
Mhm.
And I think, yes, you're right. He is, Damien Leone is trying to do lore now, but that's just because what he, if it was just Art the Clown running around killing people, people would get really bored with that.
Perhaps.
Now he has a nemesis. Now he has a little bit of a story and a little bit of an origin story. So
I just wish we had a Jamie Lee Curtis. I know that's what they want her to be. They want Sienna Shaw. They want Lauren Lavera to be Jamie Lee Curtis, and she's not. I'm sorry. She's not Jamie Lee Curtis. She's fine, but that she does not have that it factor to me.
I think she got better as the movie went on, but she's not given a lot. um, just based on the very nature of like art being the star of the movie, she not. I don't think she's going to be able to get enough to show what she can do. I don't think she's great. Don't get me wrong, but I thought she was passable. But yeah, that charisma is just not really there at the beginning. It builds a little bit.
The script does her no favors with the repeating those scenes and dragging them out as long as they do. And just kind of like, again, not to get into that whole thing again, but do her aunt and uncle believe that Art the Clown is real? Because they seem skeptical as to whether or not Art the Clown is real.
I think they do. I think that I think they believe she went through something, but I don't think, I think they think that she probably killed him. Not not that not that he's still alive or anything like that. They understand that she's seeing stuff. So
yeah,
I mean, I'm sure they believed it when, once they saw him.
But then you don't have a choice. Yeah. Did you recognize Jason Patric? Because I did not recognize Jason Patric in this movie. I've seen Jason Patric's face for years, and I had no idea that was him.
What?
But Jason Patric plays Michael, Sienna and Jonathan's dad. That was Jason Patric.
No way.
That's what Wikipedia says. I did not recognize him. I kind of see it now that I'm thinking about it, but I did not recognize him in the moment. Not even a little bit.
Huh.
I know. That's crazy, right?
Yeah, he does not look like Jason Patric that I remember. And now I got to look at a picture of him in that role again because
that's insane, right?
Yeah.
I did pop seeing Tom Savini cameo. That was beautiful.
Yeah.
I just love seeing him. When I saw him, I just burst out laughing. I was like, yes, I'm so glad to see you.
Well, somebody said on Threads, I think, look out for that cameo in the newscaster, and I thought the newscaster was the guy who the cop who got his head cut off and put on Art's body earlier in the movie. I was like, oh, okay. I guess that's an okay cameo, but it doesn't seem that special or anything. And then it was Tom Savini. I was like, oh yeah, there's Tom Savini doing his Tom Savini thing.
Yeah, there were a couple of great head pops too that were very Savini-esque.
Yeah. Some of the stuff that I really loved. I loved that Art sat down in a chair for 5 years and just got covered in cobwebs in front of the Amityville mirror. I just thought that was pretty funny. I thought that
go ahead.
No.
Can I pitch you a sequel?
Sure.
I want Art the Clown's spirit to get trapped in a lamp. Come on.
Okay.
Like Art the Clown has to travel around carrying this lamp that has his spirit in him.
Okay.
That's the premise of Amityville. What, 3 or 4? It's a possessed lamp.
Oh, Lord.
Come on, get on it, Damien Leone. You want some fucking lore? Let's get a cool lamp.
So I just opened up a picture of Jason Patrick in Terrifier 3, and now I see it.
Yeah.
But I did not see it in the movie.
I did not either. That is just like, how is that even him? I mean, I'm happy for him that he must have been able to just step away from Hollywood and just go, fuck it, I don't need to do this, and that just kind of picks whatever he wants to do. Like, I want to be in Terrifier.
Yeah.
Good for you, dude.
Why not?
I did like Daniel Roebuck as Santa. I thought that was good. And of course, anytime you can see Clint Howard take a bullet in the head, great. Yep. Nothing against him personally. I just like, he just dies well in movies. That's all. I love seeing that. He's just always a welcome presence because he's so gross.
I've seen him in person and it doesn't get any better. I don't mean that in a mean way.
Got a strong Joe Spinell energy.
Yeah, well, yes. With less charisma. Next time I'm at a horror convention with them, I'm like, you know what? You're like a Joe Spinell, but with less charisma.
And that is the highest praise.
Yeah.
We love Joe Spinell on this podcast.
We do. This is our Jurgen Prochnow.
He was the biggest star of 1980. I mean, look around. He's in every movie. Why would he be in every? Yeah. Why wouldn't he be in every movie? He must be that popular.
I mean, he's just so fuckable.
He would have been amazing as Buffalo Bill. In fact,
know what?
I want you to create that art. Joe Spinell as Buffalo Bill.
Say, aren't you about a size 14?
Oh, man.
He'd be even better as Hannibal Lecter.
Oh, God. You would.
Oh, Clarice, those lambs, are they still screaming?
Let's just recast, through your art, we'll recast all of the great horror films with Joe Spinell.
Yeah, exactly.
Look for our series of Joe Spinell t-shirts.
If he'd lived a little longer, he could have been Stan from the Golden Girls. Hey girls, it's me, Stan. We sure had some good times, didn't we, Dorothy? I could vomit just looking at you. Literally.
Oh, the Spinellverse. Only here on the I Hate Critics podcast.
Spinelloverse. Oh, could you see him? I could see him playing a Santa in this movie.
Yeah, God, he would be, if he were still around, he would be the ultimate cameo for a movie like this.
Mm-hmm. I might even go watch a Rob Zombie movie once in a while, because he'd be in those.
No doubt. No doubt. Joe Spinell smells like a Rob Zombie movie.
A Rob Zombie movie smells like Joe Spinell.
Take that. You're smelling something when you hear that. You know you are. Don't deny.
Oh, it's like sweat and menthol. And pastrami and onion.
And dry blood.
Yes. Well, moist blood because he sweats so much. It never really gets a chance to dry. Gross.
We're going to work Spinell into the show every week.
What we could do is we could put him back into all the old Kevin Spacey movies.
Hey. He would have been way better as Lester Burnham. He would have been way better Lester Burnham.
John Doe in 7?
Come on. He'd have been caught in a day because he looks like Joe Spinell. He's not getting through 2 deadly sins. He looks like Joseph now.
This guy came in here and he made me put this on, and it looked like the guy from Maniac.
Oh, we know exactly who that is. We'll be right back.
Yeah. Oh, he lives over on the Lower East Side. Let's go get him. Oh wait, no, I forgot that 7 actually takes place in L.A. He lives down in Tompkins Square Park or MacArthur Park.
We're way off track. I don't recommend Terrifier 3. Jeff, you do?
I thought it was fun. I'm glad it was the #1 movie. It beat The Joker.
Mm-hmm. Oh, good. I stuck it to that musical.
And it was a musical too, almost.
Well, with the Art the Clown Christmas songs. Again, shout out to the Christmas songs. That I can get behind that.
Well, it's like, remember Silent Night, Deadly Night? And they had all those original songs in it because they couldn't get the clearance for any like jingle bells or stuff. So, I mean,
and also inarguable, Terrifier 3 is a Christmas movie.
Yes, I get to watch that along with Inside. Have you ever seen that movie?
With Willem Dafoe?
No. Oh, no. We have to make this a classic. You're going to barf your guts out. Inside is a French film that takes place on Christmas Eve, where a woman tries to break into another woman's apartment after the second woman, who is pregnant and about to have a baby on Christmas Day. She was involved in a car accident with her husband. Her husband was killed a couple months before. And this lady decides that she's going to come in and take this other woman's baby. And it is so bloody. She's going to cut it right out of her.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we should have made the classic Tales from the Crypt from 1972 with the Killer Santa.
Instead, we'll get to our classic in just a moment, but I do want to give a shout out to an incredible documentary. The documentary is called Superman, the Christopher Reeve story. This is a really incredibly well-made documentary with the full cooperation of his family members who are still with us, his children, talking about his life before Superman, during Superman, and of course after Superman, but melding it all in a way where you're getting all these stories kind of all in various different orders, kind of bouncing back and forth in his life. And it really works to kind of remind you of why this meant so much to people when Superman fell. That emotional identification, that cultural connotation to Superman being paralyzed, like it really kind of hits you when you're seeing it back to back, him looking like Superman and then him in his wheelchair. It's like, it reminds you of that feeling that kind of we all felt but couldn't describe about that you still feel when you think about it today, is that that the fragility of the human body that could affect even Superman. Even I know he's not really Superman, but you get what I'm saying. The symbolic nature of it matters, and this documentary reminds you of why that symbolism, that people felt that so deeply. He was just a genuinely good person, and he was just genuinely kind, and he didn't deserve this, and no one does. But I'm saying that sometimes when someone is just this good, you just kind of feel the tragedy a little bit harder. I also feel like this guy. He's Superman. He's he's a guy who comes into your house pretty regularly as a kid via your television, and the emotional identification. Like 12 minutes in, I started crying, and then I stopped, and then started crying again about 20 minutes later, and I ended up crying like 3 different times just about, like, his wife died just like within 8 to 10 months after he died, and I totally didn't remember that, and all that she was doing to, balance out his work on disability. He desperately wanted to get out of that chair to the point where he was kind of offending people by how much he wanted to get out of his chair, offending the people, who were like, hey, I may be disabled, but I don't feel ashamed of it, And there were a lot of people calling him out saying, hey, maybe don't make people feel ashamed if they're not getting out of the chair, which he kind of could, because he was so hard charging about it. And Dana balanced that out. She took that in. She made sure that he understood the criticism that was coming his way. And she provided a way forward and kind of expanded upon what he was doing with the research that they were funding through the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation. And now his kids are doing that as well. They're educating people and they're helping people walk again, those who want that. It's beautiful. It's incredibly well made. I have really no complaints about it. There's a moment I gotta get emotional, kind of choked up thinking about it, because Robin Williams was Christopher Reeve's best friend, and Glenn Close was obviously very close to both of them. And she said, if Christopher were still here, I think Robin would still be here.
Huh. I mean, if he didn't get sick, yeah, I could see that.
Like, wow. Like that I don't know if that's true or not. I mean, that's just true. But she would, she knew them. She was their friend. Like, she was around them. Like, maybe Robin decides to find some way forward with his illness if he's got that support system around him. Maybe. Who knows?
Yeah.
There's a number of anecdotes here. It's not about Robin. He's a character, obviously, because he's Chris's best friend. But there are aspects there where you see, like, the people commenting, like, part of Robin died that day too, which is very sad. The whole thing is kind of sad in that way, but it's also, it's not all sadness. The tears were from being inspired as well, and from being, seeing his compassion and his care for people, and Dana's compassion and care for other people is very inspiring and very moving and beautifully told. And of course, looking at his kids, his youngest son looks so much like him. Why isn't this? Somebody should have convinced him to play Superman. I mean, that's, I know he's not an actor. Maybe that's just not what he wants, but my God, this kid just looks so much like his dad.
Well, maybe you can talk him into it.
So yeah, nobody went to see this. It did not draw any money over the weekend, which is unfortunate. It did gross Dinesh D'Souza's documentary, so fuck that guy. It deserved better, though. It deserves far more than that, because it is a very good documentary that I hope more people will give a chance to.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. Like, I'm sure it'll do really well in streaming and all that. So
that leads us to our classic this week, which is the 1978 Superman starring Christopher Reeve. And I watched that again today, and there are elements of it that don't hold up, but there's so much about the spirit of it that works, that kind of overcomes a lot of that. Like, I was just talking on the podcast the other day, or the other podcast, the 94 podcast, about how we were talking about dialogue in movies, because we were talking about how unique the dialogue in Pulp Fiction is, and why it doesn't, like, maybe for some people it does, but for us it's kind of, we were talking about how it's kind of like music, and it's just very kind of, it's its own thing, and it sounds different, and that's why we like it. But there are other movies where the dialogue is just so expository, like so ridiculously expository, that that it takes you out of the movie. And like, there's a moment like early on in this movie where is it Pa Kent says to Ma Kent, he calls her by her full name. And it's like, who talks like that? Who says their wife's middle name? Like, well, it's such a bad line. It is so poorly delivered that it does knock me out of the movie. And there are just little things like that happen throughout that are just kind of silly or needless. The movie does linger a little bit in the typical Richard Donner style. But what I love about this movie are just the good moments of this movie are so good that I don't care so much about the bad stuff. And the one thing that is just so perfect in this is Christopher Reeve. He is Superman. He just exists. He just exudes Superman, the earnestness that you might laugh at when delivered by other actors, which I think we have laughed at when tried to be delivered by other actors. That earnestness, he just seems to believe that, and he invests it with so much belief that it feels real. It feels like this is kind of how Superman would be and should be, is that earnest. I never tell a lie. Fuck yeah, okay, I believe you.
Yeah, I will give my thoughts after you send me a new link because we're almost out of time.
Okay.
But